Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a GeekVerse review. I'm Trasnell, Diamond Trasnell. I'm joined by,
I am the champ, Kirklin.
here we are. You talked about that offcast between the champ last time, like that's how you won the last sports title as a fight
That's
night and
right.
everything.
Last
Man,
ever.
yeah, last ever. Goddamn, fucking baseball. It's a couple home runs away, but you know what? That's okay. Sometimes there's the art of losing. That's what Creed and Rocky's all about, right? Because here we are. We're about to review Creed 3. So I'm doing a couple days later, so maybe you've seen it. But if not, as always, just we'll do a non-spoilers portion, tell you what our thoughts are, recommendations. You also get probably Kirkland's mini Creed 1 and Creed 2 review here because I never even
Maybe.
asked him on his thoughts. Maybe. Oh
Maybe.
boy.
We'll
Here.
see what we got there.
Oh
Mini
no.
spoiler.
Oh no. That's why when I said Drago, you're like Drago. But there you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, go down below. You can find everything we can do. And we will do. We got Last of Us 8 this week, and then we got Golden Geeks. Next week, we got Scream and 65, a newscast, weekly Geek Side Quest. Lots of things are happening next week, and then soon there'll be some Patreon specials. You'll get Better and Better will be back, and what else we do? The originals will be back. So a bunch of stuff recorded the next few weeks, and you can head over there and get lots of ad-free exclusive early content. You can get all the John Wick retros. You can get the Evil Dead first one. We'll be recording more of those. You get 4 episodes X-Men Retrospective and all that good jazz. I should have. I didn't even think about it. I should have put the Creed 2 review back in the feed for this, but I completely forgot about it. But
Who was
you
on
can
that one?
just me.
Just
I was
you?
alone.
Okay.
I was alone. Yeah. And Creed 4 came out at a time when the podcast did not exist. I'm pretty sure, or it was like 2015, where it was really just the geek reviews and stuff like that. So, and a big shout out to our Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April Darkness, and Joshua Wright, who you can go and vote now. So we have a tie for the Oscar retro. So right now for the tiebreaker, all the patrons are voting. It's between Birdman and Parasite. So go and vote for one of those, and we'll be reviewing that next week in honor of the Oscars happening a week from now. And then lots of good stuff. So Kirko Patzer, So I want to know your journey now. So I know you saw Creed 1. But I'm guessing Creed 2 didn't make it to the dance, eh?
Yes, so I did not watch Creed 2. Making
Whoa.
leading up into this one, I made that decision. And like I rewatched the trailer going into it. I'm like, I really feel like this could be a movie that I just jump in and like it can kind of be a standalone. And
Most Rockies are for the most part.
yeah.
It's very like Creed does this, where it's very Star Wars Force Awakening. Well, even then, I think Creed came out first. Can't remember, but there's a lot of like alluding to stuff in the background. But it's also just like in any movie, if you were to allude to something that didn't happen,
Yeah.
like it's the same as Obi-Wan being like, your father used to fight in the Clone Wars. Like we didn't have all those movies
Yeah,
beforehand, right?
exactly.
We do now, but I think so far most of the Creed franchise has done a good job of they reference a lot of things, but they give you the context. I mean, at least I think you'll get to tell us with Creed 3 and stuff. So
Yeah, absolutely. But like, yeah, I mean, just watching the trailer for the third movie, I just was blown away by Jonathan Majors just looking absolutely shredded, and it was just such a good trailer. Like it was really really hype. I really like just the plot overall for what it was going on, and yeah, just this like revenge tale from the character of Jonathan Majors. So I was just really really hyped watching like rewatching that trailer, and I'm like, man, I'm so pumped to watch this. While watching this movie, I was like thinking back, and I'm like, man, like I feel like I actually didn't finish Creed 1 either. I feel
oh
like I
my
had it on
god.
and I just like fell asleep and then like woke up at the end and just like thought that I like took it all in. But yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna have to go back and now that I'm not rushed to make it through for this third movie. So go back and watch those. And I haven't even seen all of the
I was gonna
Rockies
say
too. I
watch
probably
the
should have
Rockies
prefaced that.
too.
I've only seen I think the first one with
Yeah.
Apollo Creed. So yeah, it was it's been a hot minute since I've even seen that one, but still, I do appreciate these like sports and like underdog stories. I feel like that's really the underlying like theme, I guess, of these Rocky and Creed movies. And yeah, it's just a get hype time, just seeing those montages. I feel like, again, I haven't seen all the movies, but I could make a good guess that they're probably in every single one of them. They just have this like segment in the movie where they're
Oh
just
yeah.
like running on the beach or
Yeah.
doing these training with some epic music or whatnot. So yeah, that's like my little preface, I guess, coming into this review. And I will say, like, I definitely, watching Creed 3, there was some moments when I was really not vibing with it, and I was like, okay, this is probably because I haven't seen these later movies or sorry, the earlier movies, that maybe you're tying some things in here or certain character moments that I just didn't really care for at all. So I guess I can just lead right into my my overall thoughts with that. Yeah, I had a really good time with this movie. Like I was just saying, I feel like maybe it was a little bit long, but again, that is coming from someone that hasn't seen the other ones. I'm really treating this as just a standalone movie.
You thought this one
Um,
was long?
yeah, I thought it was a little bit longer than it needed to
Oh,
be
I got the
personally.
reverse where I thought it was too short.
Oh, really? Okay, so for
Yeah.
me, do I save that for spoilers? Maybe. Yeah, I'll save it for spoilers. Maybe without
They
saying anything
box.
spoilery. Yeah, they box in it.
Yeah.
But like the beginning and the end of the movie, I thought was kind of dragging for me personally.
Okay.
I'll say what that is when we get into the movie, but for me, like man, Jonathan Majors was just like a 10
Yeah.
out of 10 any single time that he was on screen. I was just blown away, and like, man, I'm loving this like Jonathan Majors era we're entering here, where he's probably been acting like done a lot of things for a while,
Yeah.
but Devotion, I think that's the one with Glenn Powell. I want to go back and watch that movie because I
Me
remember hearing
too,
good things
actually.
about it.
Yeah. I really had no he's now. I think the last time I've had this, I feel like there's tons of actors that I've liked, but it was kind of like it's weird because like with Christian Bale, he was the one that I ended up loving. But it's like I happened to see American Psycho around the time it came out, so it's like oh, I kind of see his career rise and stuff like that. I've
Yeah.
seen Majors and other things, but I feel like for me, the last time this has happened was probably with Pew and Driver. But even then,
Mm.
like with them, I had seen like some of the first things they had done. But I feel like this is since then I haven't had an actor where it's like you know what, I think no matter what this guy's in, I'm gonna watch in the future. And
Yeah.
like I had no interest in Devotion, but it's funny you said that. I'm like you know what, I'm probably gonna watch in the next month or so, just because like he's becoming that guy where it's just like I'll watch anything this guy does from here on out because it's just
Yeah.
oh so good.
And like I mean I just saw Ant-Man obviously and like comparing his performance in that, it's very very different, and not even just like the character he's playing is different obviously. Kang's not a boxer, at least not
Big
yet.
twist.
But
It's
but like
Kang.
but just like the way that he talks and his mannerisms and like his body language, like he really just embodies a completely different character. And yeah, it blew me away. Anytime he was on screen, I was loving this movie. And of course seeing like Michael B. Jordan in this, like in the third movie, he's like the hot shot. He's the world champion. He's got like the $1 million mansion in Los Angeles. Like he's really established himself. So it's kind of funny for me to like jump in and he's like the main guy.
You're at the
and-
end of career mode.
Yeah, exactly. And I at least saw a majority of Creed, so I did see him in kind of that comeuppance. But so yeah, I definitely have maybe definitely differing opinions on the movie. I think from you, just because I haven't seen the lead up to this one. But all in all, I definitely had a really fun time with this. This was. It just got me like just jazzed, like and like I was saying before, like just the training montages. It's just like, oh, I just want to go right now. Like I just want to get shredded like these guys.
Yeah, I know.
So
And then,
yeah, I would definitely recommend this movie to if you've seen Rocky or the Creed movies or anything. But like even if you're like me and you haven't seen any of the other ones, I still recommend this movie, and especially if you like sports movies and again like that underdog sort of story. Like it very much is a category that I feel like I've always really enjoyed. So this was definitely a movie for me.
Yeah, I know. I always think that I'm like, oh yeah, I need a job to get paid to do that and stuff like that. Not saying they're not
To
getting
like get
that, but, like,
shredded.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like they put in a lot of work, but I'm also like, man, they get that in their budget. They get all this stuff because I'm like, oh, I could buckle down and get in really good shape again, and that's always a plan. But nowadays, my plan is like just to keep myself at like one layer and stuff like that. Get all jacked when I'm 40 and 50 when I have the free time. But nowadays, not so much. But yeah. So with this one, I've like, if anyone's new to the podcast, I like the Rocky movies, but I've never been like there. That's never been my franchise. I don't think the first one is this way, but I think eventually they kind of get a little more broy. And as people know, like I'm not a big fan of too much broy things and stuff like that, even though we're just talking about seeing these dudes and want to get jacked. But I just like there's something to it where it's just like I like them for what they were. I think the first one is above the rest, and that's kind of it. And then Creed I absolutely loved. I'm a big Ryan Coogler guy. I'd seen Fruitvale Station, but like between that and Creed and then Black Panther, so I loved that. And then also he was in there for the second one, and then now this is Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut as well, which is pretty fun. That's a kind of fun story to do the first Creed all the way to here. So I've liked them all. I think Creed 1 is my favorite out of the whole series, even Rocky. I love the character of Creed, and 2 I think is a really good one. And I think this is the best way to describe this for me is I think it's a really good movie, maybe even a really, really good movie, but I don't think I can say great. And the reason for me, I can say in non-spoilers of why I want it to be longer is I felt we just got to some big plot points very quickly, and I felt like we missed a lot of stuff that could have happened. I feel like, and there's certain things in the trailers I was like, oh, I'm really interested to see how they're gonna do that, and they don't really do it. They just kind of, when I was almost referring to like a video game career mode, it just feels like you skipped a bunch of chapters to get to something, or you had multiple save files. Like, oh, I'm just gonna go and play this one. Like that's what I missed about the movie is I wish there was a certain. I feel like the first two had moments where they really just pause. I'm not saying this movie's like warp speed or it goes. No, I think it has a good pacing, but I feel like there's times where I really wanted to slow down a lot more character wise, but we have a lot of big moments. So there's that, and there's just one particular thing that they do with the character. His name is just Damon, right? His real name, Damien. Yeah, but Diamond. There's one thing they do where it was an interesting choice because I feel like they're already making you feel conflicted, and they have to do one more thing of like, oh yeah, he's he's not the greatest guy, but he also did this. It's like, oh, I don't know if I needed that. We already were kind of, I had bought him as the protagonist of this movie, especially things go around. So I think there's some messiness with the story, but nothing is like the fights are really good, and I had heard this from a bunch of people excited to pick Kirklin's brain, where everyone described them as like anime type fights, and I like felt that a little bit here and there until like the third or the final fight. That's where it's like, okay, I've not seen that much anime, but I know what we're watching now. So, and especially the third fight has like a choice, which I'm not sure where I am on it, but it's a bold choice that I really like that they did. So the shouts to Michael B. Jordan, who like is a fan of all that stuff, but like he made a choice as a director. But yeah, acting wise, all around great stuff. Even I think dialogue is good. I think only problems I have is the pacing, and I said some story choices where I thought they maybe went too far over. Not like I'm offended, just a way of like, okay, I think you already proved your point here, and you're kind of actually maybe lessening the story. But Michael B. Jordan continues just to always like, I feel like Major's the hot guy in the thing, the hot new guy on the rise. But this was like Michael B. Jordan like 7 years ago. Like, man, this guy's just great and everything, and he still is, and that's the way Majors is now. And I think they had a good chemistry for being the enemy slash, the frenemy sort of deal. Him and Tessa Thompson are still great together. I actually wish we got a little bit more of her. I feel like I'd have to look at screen time. I feel like she was in this one the least amount, which is kind of funny because it's the first one without Sly. So, but yeah, and like Kirklin said, Majors, it's just like he's that level of like we've talked about before of our generation of like Driver and Pugh, where I just feel like he's just gonna deliver, even if we see him in shit movies in the future. Like it's never gonna be because of him. It's always he's always gonna rise above. And yeah, just because of what I said at the beginning of the sentiment, I have to redo my list, but I've definitely added him to the man crushes there. Speaking of, Michael B. Jordan had already been there, but Majors is in there. I'm putting the MCM on him. I will redo the list. Me and Liam did the list in 2015 when this podcast started, but there's some people I gotta add, and he's definitely one of them. So yeah.
Any cuts on the list? I'm curious.
No, I think the only people I would cut is like if a crime or something happens.
Okay, yeah,
like if something really bad happened. Like I never had James Franco on the list, but I had him a list of actors I really like. So if he was on there, I'm like, I can cut him because he's kind of a shady, shitty guy now. So luckily, I should go over my list to make sure there's nobody there. But I think I'm in the clear. So yeah, no cuts because I always got a soft spot. But yeah, I think like Kirkland said, I think you can watch this movie if you've not seen them and still get most of it. I think because it's more about the core issue of these two characters, which I appreciate. And I don't miss Sylvester Stallone. I know I've seen that sentiment from people like, oh, the first one without him, it feels like something missing. I don't have that, and that's not just because me of saying like, oh yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Rocky movies. I just one day when you watch Creed 2, Kirkland, you'll see like I feel like they closed his story off in a really good way where I didn't need any more. And sure, there's some moments where would I like Sylvester Stallone to give him a little pep talk? Sure, even if it was a scene where he just like drove over to his place to get like one moment, like yeah, I'd take that, but I don't think I was like that was the problem of the movie. So yeah, a really good movie, and I think a really good directorial debut for Michael B. Jordan. I think it's really good for him, and I'm very excited to see maybe they'll do a Creed 4, but I'm really excited to see him do something if he wants to, something original in the future. Now that he's done this, and not that this would be easy, but it's more easier because he's played this character before. There's like a cadence for what he knows about the world and the boxing scenes and stuff. So I'd love to see what he would do of just like an original script or story. So we'll see what happens down the line. But is there anything I haven't mentioned or you have mentioned that you want to talk about non-spoilers?
I like you brought up. Maybe I'll say that for spoilers. I was gonna say just like there is certain things where I feel like they were they were trying to like, I don't know, address, and like they addressed it well, but then they like come back to it. That was the point
Yeah.
that you're making it,
It's
and it
like
was just like,
over-explaining the joke where it's
yeah,
like, oh, it
exactly.
was
It's like,
funny the first
oh,
time.
you're losing
Yeah.
me here, because it's
Yeah.
like it hit really well the first time, but now they're just like trying to really dumbify it for everybody, like in case you missed it.
Yeah.
So
If you don't know, Jonathan Majors the bad guy in this movie. It's like we got that,
Yeah.
and that's what's I think kind of disappointing. And like we'll talk more in spoilers, but for the non-spoilers portion, it's like I actually liked it more when it was almost a gray area of he's not necessarily a bad
Yeah.
guy, and like Creed's a bit more of a not shady, but there's questions around him, and I wish they actually didn't make it so black and white. So while Majors is definitely the bad guy, I wish they kind of stayed with the first act of where, okay, there's some questionable choices being made, but you should support Creed because you're with him. But at the same time, there's this new guy and he has a story and he has a reason. Like I felt like he had a great villain motivation for as far as wanting to get back up there, and not even villain, like they're just human people in this, but like for an antagonist. But then I think they gave us too much of like, oh, like I can't really support this guy anymore. And I feel like the movie was stronger when I could. I feel like it was stronger
Yeah.
when, man, I'm questioning, do I want to cheer for Creed? Because the first like half an hour I actually don't, because I feel like they do a few things with his character, and I thought it was an intentional choice where it's like you mentioned, and this is a little spoil, but you mentioned that okay, he has all this money and stuff like that, and there's one moment where him and Damon are having a scene together, and they just go down to pretty much this shrine of Creed. I'm like, how am I supposed to relate to this person who like he has a wall that's just like there's a full wall in his house and it's just a picture of him. I'm like, how am I supposed to relate to this guy when you have this guy over here who, he's having hard times. He did some things for Creed in the past. Like that's what I was really liking. But then I feel like there's a shift where they have to make sure, oh, if you're starting to like not like Creed, remember he didn't do these bad things. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess, so.
Let's start spoilers there. I like
Yeah,
that
so
conversation point.
we'll take our first ad break and then let's get into spoilers. So we'll be right back. All right, so we're in spoilers. So, let's start. So what I liked is, and the trailers show everything that kind of what we were talking about before, as far as okay, clearly the trailers pretty much just give away there was a crime that went down and Damon took the fall for it, right, really, and then they reveal that wasn't exactly it. Where there was a guy, and I liked all the setup where they show him as kids, and I thought those younger actors had good chemistry.
Oh
it was
man,
like,
and they
yeah.
looked exactly like Jonathan
Yeah.
Majors and Michael B. Jordan. Like huge credit to the casting team for that.
No, I thought that was good, and like we'll talk about the final fight, but I like throughout the movie how those characters and flashbacks kept coming back. I thought that was used really well. But they set up that Michael B. Jordan, he bumps into like one of his, because at one point he was with foster families and stuff like that. He saw some guy that used to beat him up. He didn't remember him, so young Michael B. Jordan, young Creed, I should say, starts going to town on him, and they show this throughout the movie. But I'm just giving you the whole flashback. He starts going to town on him. Damien pulls a gun out because some of that guy's friends show up. They're like, "What's going on, kid?" And they're gonna pretty much just fuck up Creed here, and he pulls a gun. But Damon's already had some trouble with the law. He shouldn't be carrying a gun. The police see this, and then he's gone for 18 years. So his life's ruined for saving Creed, right? Again, you can debate, hey, should he have a gun and whatnot? But the point is, he was about to get beat up by these other people who are friends with this abuser. So the point is, he's like, okay, it's like I said, gun, crime. He's made some mistakes, but he still was doing a good act to try and save his friend. And he went to jail for almost 2 decades for it. And then he gets back and everything. Like you've seen the trailers, he's very nice, but and that's what I loved about him. He's very kind of awkward at the beginning because he's just still new to society. He's been locked up for years and stuff like that. And then they have I had to look in this because I'm not a boxing guy and stuff like this. And I get it. They refer to this, and maybe we'll go space by space till we get to the point we're talking about. But because I have some things to ask you on your opinions. He keeps asking Creed, he's like, I really want a title fight. I really want a title fight, because now he's back in the gym and he's kind of ruffling people's feathers the wrong way, but whatever. He's his former friend. He feels he owes him one. Cool. He's ruffling feathers and I want a title shot. And he talks about this happened with Rocky, right? Where Creed gave Rocky a shot. He was kind of a nobody and stuff like that. That to me was fine for the 80s, but what ends up happening, and we'll talk about what happens to Drago, but Drago's going to have a fight with this guy that Creed is training in his gym. And it's going to be for a title fight. And then Drago gets attacked in a club. Again, let's talk about that in a separate thing. But so they need a replacement. And it's not just some fight. It's not just some random fight. It's the World Heavyweight title. It is in a WrestleMania Super Bowl-like stadium where there are thousands of people. And to me, I get in the 80s, but for me, what I could not buy, especially what we know about business in boxing, UFC, wrestling, like whatever you want to name that entertainment, fighting sport business, they're just like, well, we have this no-name guy who could go fight the world heavyweight champion. And I get what they're trying to do. Like, well, Creed did it for Rocky, but I just couldn't buy that in this day and age, that they would just let this random guy. And that's why I kind of wish that they had just got him a couple fights and he had won some and he was starting to make a little name for himself. And even when him asked for a title shot, Creed could be like, hey, you've just only had like 2 or 3 fights. Like, I can't give you that yet. So even if he had, like, let's say 3 to 5 fights and he was undefeated, I could believe that more, like, hey, let's get this rookie in here. And maybe there's headlines of like, oh, he's just finishing dudes off. He's so powerful. Because this guy's had 1 fight and later on they refer to him like, people are saying he's the king of boxing. And it's like, what? How? So that was my problem again, why I wanted to be longer, where I could have took a 5-minute montage of seeing Jonathan Majors just like go through the minor leagues, but he's just killing it, making it a name. I couldn't get past the point of, oh, guy that's never fought on a professional level, he gets a world title fight with a 50,000 people stadium. I couldn't buy it. I couldn't buy that. So that bugged me a bit.
Yeah, that was a tough pill to swallow, and I feel like I'm kind of torn on this though, because I love the aspect of like when Damian gets into the ring and he just has such like an unorthodox style. It's like extremely borderline illegal, and he's doing these like really weird punches that of course like a professional boxer is never really trained for. Like those arm punches, those were so devastating. And
I looked
feel
it
like
up, that's legal though, because I was like, are you allowed to punch someone in the shoulder? And I looked it up, I'm like, oh, you are, I guess you are, and stuff like that. Because technically the only illegal thing he did was the elbow, because even the legs, he was just like brushing them. But the I didn't know you could just go on down someone's arm. I actually thought that was illegal. I'm like, oh, that shouldn't be allowed.
I thought he was gonna fucking like chop the whole arm off with some of those punches and the power that he had.
King of boxing.
Yeah, so like I'm kind of torn because I love how that was revealed like on the open stage, and it's like, who the fuck is this guy? And like, and then you just see Felix, I think was the other competitor's name, like just slowly like lose the confidence, and like by like the later rounds, like he was just getting fucked up by Damian. And I love that like transition, and I feel like you can't really have that in like a build-up fight because of course like Felix and everyone else would be like prepped for that, but I still agree
that's why
that
maybe
you could have had.
He fights a bunch of scrubs where he could just knock them out.
He
really
doesn't
quick,
need to
right?
do those like tactics. So like I'm kind of I guess I'm more siding on that side because for him to just come in and they have like
first
the huge they have like
first
the huge
professional
lights
fight
ever. Like huge lights going on, the big intro, like he's just wearing like a black hoodie, like no sponsors or anything like that. And I'm not a boxing guy, but I understand how much of a business it is. And like I feel
find somebody or they delay the fight, because Michael B. Jordan's like, we can't delay this fight. Fights get delayed all the time. And again, I'm not so as familiar with boxing, but I know even in UFC, like fights will get delayed all the time, or they'll find somebody close enough. Like the fact that they only had 2 options of one guy and the guy in our gym, it's like, you're telling me in the whole wide world there's only 2 options that could fight this heavyweight? It was that's why I was so interested in the trailer. I was like, okay, this guy goes from being prison to fighting world like champion shots. So like I can't wait to see how that journey is. But the journey is they literally just hit the skip button and this first fight is the world heavyweight championship. I'm like, I don't know. A little too much for me.
Yeah, I agree with what you pitched. I wish we had some sort of montage where like I feel like even if he had 3 fights, like that's not enough. Like it's got to be 4 or 5, even more so. And
maybe they like 500 people have seen them. Like even then, like there's chatter about this guy. Like, oh, you should look at this guy, but no one knows this. They could have just picked some random guy off the street, and the champ could have just beat him, just to get a win. Like, who is this guy? And I guess they talked about his like high school, right? He was like a Golden Gloves. So like there's some stuff, but it's like that was also 20 years ago, So
so that was like, especially like just thinking back on it, like it's definitely one of those things that I think bring down my overall thought and score for this movie, was that because it is just very convenient how he gets in there. We haven't even like talked about his fucking assassin that he hires to take out Drago.
Let's do that right now. So as we talked about at the beginning, it's he's ruffling people's feathers, but he's fine with Creed. He brings him to, he has a family dinner with them. He meets his wife, meets his kid. That all goes well. There's no sus vibes. He's not acting creepy. I was hoping, like at one point he was staring at Tessa Thompson. Luckily it was just to strike up a conversation with her. I was like, please don't make this, because he was talking about that he wants what Creed has. So I was really worried. I thought for a second we were gonna, but no, he was just like striking up these conversations and stuff like that. He's
and
like,
the chemistry amongst those two was really good. Like I really enjoyed their dialogues that they had. I was wanting more.
Yeah, and because they had a good conversation where in the past few movies they've established that she's losing her hearing and then she stops singing because it would put a lot of pressure on her eardrum. So she pretty much just said, I want to save whatever hearing I have left for my family life, stuff like that. And he even says that, like, how do you feel about someone else singing your song? And I liked the conversation they had. And again, I just wish they touched back to it more, but they just, which we're going to get to, just make Damon like a fucking just evil terrorist where like, okay, we can't talk to him anymore, stuff like that, because he's so bad. But so this fight's supposed to happen. Drago, who we'll get to see in the second one, he's the main villain in this one. So it was fun to bring him back as he was the main antagonist because obviously he's the son of Drago, and Drago killed Creed. So there's this whole lineage of stuff like the big problems between the Dragos and the Creeds and the Rockies. But the sons, they've worked it together. They're not making their father's mistakes, so they've figured it out. They're kind of more respectful and everything like that. This fight's about to happen. Drago gets attacked in this club. And it's like, okay, and this is how we got to get the person that needs to fight. At one point, having dinner, Majors mentions, or Damon mentions, hey, I wrote you a bunch too. And a great scene comes later on where Creed confronts his mother, like, hey, like, I got prison letters from this guy that was my friend. He didn't give them to me and stuff like that. So they do the fight. And what I was liking about the fight was, like I said, in this house party scene, like, Michael B. Jordan's Creed's house is like, it's massive. He has one of those pools that goes off the side. Like I said, in his man cave is just a shrine to himself, which I get it. He definitely has a shrine, but the wall was a little bit much for him. But I liked it. They were kind of painting it as, again, this guy has everything. He's not hungry anymore. Damon is hungry. And even in the fight, they don't have, like, Creed is not cheering for Damon at all. He's giving the other guy advice. Like, so it comes off as Creed being really shitty. But then what I like is, okay, they make Damon that, other than one elbow, they make him kind of fight this style that you could argue is dirty, but it's within the rules. So that's why I liked where it's this like dichotomy of, okay, Damon's kind of taking advantage of the situation of being Creed's friend and owing him one. He's fighting a little dirtier, but he's still in the rules. And then he still beat the guy. He beat him fair and square and everything like that. And what I liked before was, Creed's kind of has this lavish life. He tried to offer him money, like pity money, and Majors didn't want that. He's not even cheering for him. So that's why I liked of like, hey, our hero is kind of, I don't know, he's not supporting this guy 100% like he said he would be. But then what do we got to do is after this fight, and I got other things to mention about this fight, but after this fight, he gets these prison letters, and they had arrested the guy that attacked Drago, and he sees in these prison letters that the guy who attacked Drago is one of his inmates. So they made it that Damon hired this guy he used to go to prison with to take out Drago so he could go in the fight. That's what to me felt so unnecessary, and it kept going, because then we get to the next scene where Damon now has gone from being almost homeless to has everything. He has this club, like he doesn't have a club, but he has like this great top on. He has all these people, and again, he is the champ, but I just felt like the jump from nothing to everything was way too quick. He has a gun at this party of like, oh, you want me to pick it up? Like, I felt that's what I hated, where right before that assassin reveal, and he didn't assassinate him, but the attack reveal, I thought it was a great gray area of I want to cheer for Creed, but this movie's making me side with Damon, and I'm more Team Damon. But then it's just like, oh, well, he had someone attacked, and oh, well, he's carrying a gun around to threaten people. It's like, that's where I think it went too, like we talked about in non-spoilers, went too far in trying to explain that Damon was bad. And I think it actually hurt the movie, because I liked the gray area more. And then it was just fully, no, he's the bad guy. Like, I didn't need that attack. We didn't need that at all, because it'd be different if then if they go that route, they should have Creed was cheering for him in the match. When he won the match, you're like, fuck yeah, like, I'm so proud of you and everything like that. And then when he gets those letters, I feel like, man, I feel so betrayed. I was supporting you, cheering you, and I found out you cheated pretty much to get this. But he was already like, I don't know about this Damon guy now after the fight. And then after he gets the snow, it's like, okay, I really don't know about this guy. So that bugged me a ton.
Yeah, like, it's tough because I can picture a scenario where this assassin like actually fits, kind of like what you mentioned, where like like if Creed was kind of, I'm just gonna keep using the word assassin too because it just makes it that much funnier.
Fair enough. Yeah. Drago came back though later. Don't worry, he came back.
But like, I don't know, it's a situation where Creed's actually like really pumped for his buddy, and then later on, like, it's revealed that he finally finds these letters, and he gets screwed over there, and then that's where like the split kind of happens. I feel like that could have been a lot more believable, but I didn't need this like super, in my opinion, super corny and cheesy like eye rolly way of like, oh, he sent this letter, and if you just read the letters, this entire situation would have been avoided because you would have recognized that guy probably instantly and been like,
what would have happened if he did read the letters?
He never would have gave him a shot, I would imagine. Like it's like your buddy just fucking assassinated Drago. What the hell's going
Yeah.
on here? So yeah, that was super weird for me. I think the overall like the quickness of him just going from like zero to everything, that actually didn't bother me too much because like that is a lot of money. I imagine that he won.
Yeah.
He got like 3 belts for that one.
It was just
fight.
like the same night though. He was over like it was
Yeah,
just
that's fair.
And I could buy that the most out of
payout.
everything out of everything in this movie. I could buy that. It was just jarring to go from because I know we'd seen the scene in the trailer with him at that club when he had like the nice jacket on, but
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's gonna be later on. But that's like same night. But same thing. It's like I guess he wins. People are throwing him free merch and stuff like that, so I can swallow that. I just wish that scene was a bit more intimate between the two.
Yeah, but like the whole time we just have Creed being like super against him because he's just like pro Felix here. Like he's really just
Yeah.
trying to build up this one guy from his gym, which is fair. But like to just be like basically disgusted in this guy.
Oh my
that,
God.
I mean, at this point in time in the movie, we don't even know how badly like Creed screwed him over by like literally just
Yes.
never even talking to him the entire time that he's in prison. Like that's definitely a big no-no from Creed's behalf. So if I had heard that early on, I would have been even more on Damien's side because it's like. It's one thing to just run. Like, I don't really blame him for that. He's a kid. He's scared or whatnot. But to never even, like, visit him for 18 years.
Yeah.
And he does lay it out that, like, he was just scared and wanted to completely forget about that. And that all that dialogue was good for me. But I feel like, and again, he is a kid. He does regret his actions. But, like, that's not even talked about until, like, way later in the movie.
Last 5 minutes he apologizes. And
Yes.
and like even then he like it's weird because like we're jumping to the end, like he apologizes and I buy that for Creed, like you said he gave all those reasons, and then they're just like you good, and they do like a signature like fist bump, but then he's never like, hey dude, you still had one of these boxers fucking attacked like in a club, like it's like that to me almost makes it like you can say sorry, but then he should be like, but I can't forgive you what you like something could have happened to this boxer, like what if his hand was damaged for life, you know, like what if he couldn't
That's how he makes
like
money.
yeah, that's how he makes. So I hated that they never talked about that ever again. They just had this fight and then they were good after. And I would like that if it was the no attack, then take the attack out. Just like, hey, he was unsure how he felt about it. He felt the fight was a little dirty. Maybe Damon gets like, he already got like the fame was going to his head. You could play up that angle and stuff like that. But to have the attack happen, then never really address it once they make good it was odd because now what is Damon just gonna be at the gym sparring with everybody and like, dude, you had this guy attacked. Like
He's fighting Drago.
that's more illegal than the crime you went away for 18 years. You know, like it was a weird choice to do with the other choices they made. I felt so.
It was very jarring. I think to try and palate that, and that's something that I think could have been fixed if they chose to, I don't know, spread this entire story out like over a longer period, and like that could easily just be some montages, and you don't even have to show the montages. It's just like, oh, he won another fight, okay, that's cool, and then like you just keep going on with the story there. But like you go from Damien having 0 fights to the world champion, and within that time, I feel like it's just, I don't know, very
and then next fight, he
unbelievable
loses
the route
the
that we
title.
go.
Next fight, he loses the title.
So he's 1-1.
What a story! What a story! First fight you lose,
3
it,
belts.
second,
He's got like 3 belts.
Yeah, I know it was so jarring for me because this didn't happen in Creed 2, where we open up the Creed this movie 3, and he you get the flashback, and then goes into a fight scene with Michael B. Jordan, and I love the fight. I think it's good where he's like searing on the kidney in the back and stuff like that. That's
Sherlock
cool.
Holmes moment.
Very much. Yeah, I thought
movie.
it was a tad too much slow motion for me, but that's all right. But he wins, and they're like, for the first time in 20 years, there's been an undisputed, unified heavyweight champion, so that's cool. And then we just fade to black, and I don't recall us getting a like 2 years later or 5 years later. We didn't get the classic Hollywood thing that's around now, but we just, the next time we pick up to Creed, that he's at the gym, and I didn't pick up this for a while, that he's just retired. He's just done. And I maybe there was a line I missed, but still I was not expecting this Creed 3 movie to have a retired Creed already, which again, this is where my lack of knowledge comes in with boxing. I don't know how old Michael B. Jordan is. I don't know if that's the age of like when boxers tend to retire, but this is like Hollywood movie magic. So for me already in Creed 3, for him to being like retired, I was like, oh, that was a little jarring for me, but I got over it. And it was fine with me that he came back. He did the training montage. He won. I just was very surprised by the amount of, because that was my other thing too of when I watched these trailers. Okay, how is he gonna get to become this big fighter, and then how's he gonna fight Creed so soon and stuff like that? And literally, what happens is Creed comes out of retirement. He goes on a show, says he wants to fight Damien. Damien makes a phone call. He's like, "You want to fight me for the title?" He's like, "Yeah," and then he says, "Yeah." And again, is there not any other fighters in the world that are like in contention to be like, hey, and that the Creed one I can buy more because at least it's a big fight. Creed's this big name and everything like that. I could buy, okay, they would bypass people to give him a shot. But again, just the pacing of all the stuff happening so soon. And I imagine the fight training is probably a couple months, even maybe 6 months for Creed and Damien. But in the way the movie feeds it to us, I was a little much for me. And my point I got to say about that party too, which I didn't like, is I get it. Creed was mad because he found out about the photos. But when he goes to this beach party and some security guy that tries to stop him and he just punches him, I didn't buy that either. I'm like, you just assaulted this innocent, and like these aren't criminals as far as I know. They're just security guards. Like and you're a fucking world class boxer. Your hands are weapons, and he just knocked this man unconscious. I did not like that at all. Because again, I'm like, why am I supposed to be cheering for you? Like, we don't need you. Like, this scene's not needed for him to come in and punch. I was fine. I was fine with Damien punching him at the end because I kind of felt it fit with the character being a little bit rascally. He was heated and stuff like that. But for Jordan just to assault the security guard to like get to Damien, it's like, did it really matter? Because Damien has a gun, so like the security guard wouldn't have really mattered if like he wanted to use it. So I feel like they're just trying to make it more like intense and epic. Where I feel like just take that down. Like it
unnecessary.
was, yeah, it was better the more realistic real world way, you know. But
yeah,
poor guard going home to his wife, you know.
Just got beat up by Creed.
Yeah, they fired me. I'm a security guard and a security guard and former retired undisputed champion knocked me out, and they got to Damien. Like, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, speaking upon the age thing, that was something too that just kind of stuck in my head as we were going on the movie. Because, like, I get it. Like, he probably has all the money he could ever need in the world, and if he doesn't feel like he needs to, like, maybe he just wants to spend more time with his daughter and his wife, and like that's totally understandable. But it just seemed like they were putting a lot of emphasis on like this age thing. Yeah. And if I heard it right, I'm pretty sure they said that Damien was like 33 or something like I think it was 33 or 34 because when he was talking to Creed and it was like, you know, like you did it all, but like for me, like this is the make
Time's
or break moment.
Out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Time's running out. And they keep stressing throughout the movie that he's older than Creed is. And I'm pretty sure it's like 3 years, so that would mean that Creed is essentially like 30 or 31, which again, I don't know boxing, but I feel like that's like the physical peak for like a sport like that. Like especially Michael B. Jordan, like in real life, he's in his 40s. I would imagine he's 40, I don't know, mid 40s or something like that, 43, 41. You're 43. 53, 63. Oh, for the audio listeners that don't know, Travis' mic is muted right now, so I'm trying to do some hand signals with him. But anyways, so yeah, Damien is multiple years older than Creed is, and like they keep saying now Creed's already an old man, and this guy's older than him, so therefore he's just like a dinosaur. There's no way he can get in there. But like, I don't know, if I'm a viewer and I'm like a sports commentator and I'm seeing just the physique of Jonathan Majors, like Diamond Damien in this movie, I'm like, holy fuck, man! Like this guy could be going for the next 10 years. So I just think the stress
no
on
chance
the
for that
age,
guy.
Yeah, like the stress on the age thing was so bizarre to me. Like maybe they could have put more emphasis on like, okay, this guy's been in prison for 18 years. like is it really a good idea for him to just like he's been in a room by himself for like probably half of his life already, and we're just gonna give him a world title shot? Like that was just again another thing that was really bizarre for me.
And like it's so funny because it's fine in the movie wise because Michael B. Jordan looks so much younger, but like he's 36 and Jonathan Majors is 33. You know, it's like, and that's where it's just like, and yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look at the age of a retired boxer, which I also don't like hearing Jonathan Majors is 33 because that's 4 years older than me. I'm like, man, I still don't even look like a man, and he looks like that's 4 years. Maybe I'll look like that in 4
You'll
years.
look like that in 4 years.
I hope so, but I'm like, that's only 4 years away from me. Look at the way he looks. I'm not gonna be looking like that time I get to 33. Fuck, like
cheese grater abs. His abs are like the same size as his pectorials. My God. He's just monstrous.
Retire because maybe there's like a general age. Because I feel like there's people out there
but
fighting the
boxers
average
retire,
age
and then they
is
get like a
37.
money. The average boxing age?
That's what the first Google thing I said.
Or for retiring.
What age do boxers peak? At 28 to 35. So it's like,
he's in his peak right now. It's like this
and then
guy's
you retire
old.
2 years after your peak. Like, I feel like you usually retire like far after your peak, not like, because I feel like even if you're not your peak at 35, you could probably be still winning some fights at 36 and
Yeah.
37. But
Maybe it's
hey,
just like more dangerous
yeah.
as like an
And
older
maybe it is,
age.
right? Because they do that montage of like how many, you got this wrong with your hand, how many concussions have you had, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that is the thing with boxing. It is a huge like
Combat sport.
yeah, huge combat, huge head injury sport. So maybe it's that. Maybe that's just you and me both not having our big affiliation with
Mhm.
boxing. I guess it's just tough because also that's the thing, like in this movie both these guys just look like $1 billion, and that's
Yeah.
where it's tough for me to believe that. But again, yeah, maybe that's it. It's the head trauma, stuff like that. But it is funny that Majors is 3 years younger and he's like the much older, like it could be all be over for him very soon and stuff like that, which again,
Yeah.
could it be because he destroyed that world champion and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
so.
he's like a professional boxer who like
Been in the
probably
gym for
knows how to like
years,
yeah, exactly.
trainers, yeah.
Knows how to win by points and like all the technicalities of the sport, but
Damon's just been on the beach in prison, just like fighting bags,
climbing up those ropes like he was doing in that montage.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But he said he picked up a few things, and that's where it came. And again, I liked that fight as well. I loved just kind of this moment of he punched him in the arm. And it looked like it hurt, but like the fight just kept going. And when they took their breaks in the corner, he just looked like a fucking shark. Like he saw them like working on his arm a little bit, and he saw like the arm was red, and you just saw him just like stare. You saw Majors just staring at like, oh, I fucking got this guy now. And I thought all that like in between fight stuff, I think Majors did a good job of seeming intense, but also like intelligent at the same time. I thought with all the fights, there's maybe a bit too much talking. I know that does happen in boxing, but sometimes I feel like they break for 15 seconds. Like, I'm going to fucking fuck you up. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're not as good as you used to be. Yeah, well, I'm better than you. And just like,
Yeah.
it was a little too, that's where some anime came in, but I don't
Very
think it was an anime. Like it was, but if it was like, they've done that before, there was just I would have taken it for one fight. It was just every fight, both boxers had to like beak off at each other. It's like, okay, I wouldn't use that time to speak. I'd be taking a shot, but
It definitely seemed like that heightened reality type thing where it's like, is this really the most realistic method about it? But as you mentioned, like it very much is those anime isms that they had. Like they even had like the Goku Frieza fight thing where they like both punch each other in the face at the exact same time, and they didn't self knock out in here, but it's like essentially that. The training montage, him like punching the tree and stuff, and again, like I would imagine people do that in training, but again, like I've just seen that in so many different animes, so. I was eating all that stuff up. I was loving it again. Like we had some awesome music going along with these like intense scenes. So for me, that was the peak of the movie. Probably was. I mean, other than the Jonathan Majors thing, because he was just a 10 out of 10. But was just the training montages and the actual fighting. Like I thought they pulled off those scenes really really well. You brought up the point that maybe they used a little bit too much slow mo here and there, which I definitely would agree with. There's a couple times when it seemed like they were really just trying to emphasize the I don't know, the amazing ability that is Creed, Adonis Creed. So but again, like if I want to pick at hairs, I could probably point out a certain scene here and there. But I just thought all of like the combat sequences for me were fantastic, and them beaking off each other, I loved all that stuff. When they went to their corners, I thought that was fantastic too. Just seeing because like the fight's not over when they ring the bell and they go to the corners. Like you're still like analyzing like your opponent and all these things, and just the way that Jonathan Majors was doing that. And like when he would come out of the corner and he was just like, he's already shredded, but the way he just like storms at his opponent, he like sprints right at him. Like I couldn't even imagine like trying to survive like a single round against that guy. Like it's just exhausting. He just suffocates you with the pressure that he brings. And it was entertaining for sure.
Well, let's take our last ad break. We'll talk about the fights a bit more, probably final score, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Yeah, what I liked about the final fight is the commentator said this, that showing the like the filmog or the cinematography of it. I love that it was just equal the whole way through, because I feel like it's with two things about this fight, with that and also again to like the like third realm dimension they go in at one point. But I like that because I feel like I've seen it so many times of main character's down, he's down a lot, it's over for him. I liked the entire fight that it was just the second Creed gets a shot, like Damon gets a shot, the second Damon gets a shot, like I like that he'd get him in the corner, Diamond gets some, and then he'd get out of it with like a big punch. I like that and they were really stressing that of they don't even know, like the commentators were saying they don't even know who would win if it would go to judges or something because it's so close and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And that's what I liked at the end. I forgot Creed's trainer, but he's pretty much just saying like you gotta let everything go. You're boxing, but now it's time for you to fight. And I like that. It's pretty much just like laying it out like if you got to ensure a win, you got to get a knockout here. Like there's no way like maybe he could have won, but we don't know that for sure. So it's like you got to go for blood. And even then, it feels like Majors is doing that too because he gets a knockout blow on Creed. That to me was a very anime moment when he punched him in the stomach, and they just had like a shot of Michael B. Jordan be like, oh, like that just felt like a zoom in. But so I liked that the whole fight was close. It was never okay this big comeback. It was just who could get like the ball last pretty much. And then they do that at the beginning, some rounds. And then the middle portion is I like they're both in their corners and they look at each other and they both flash to being like the kid version of each other. They flash back to being men. And then when they stand out, the entire arena's gone. There's like lights that are kind of like making it very trippy and stuff like that. As far as there's yellow and green, there's blue and red and stuff like that, like signifying their colors. They'll do stuff like Jonathan Majors like punched him one point and he went flying back, and when he went flying back in the ring ropes, a fucking just bar cell came up and like showed like he was in prison, and then like Majors started to hit him like almost like a prison thing. At one point, Creed got him up against like a punching bag from like prison, so it was all gross and sweaty and stuff like that. I was very torn on how I felt about this because I was like, I like that they're giving it like they're doing something different. I like that this is going to stand out because again, they've done so many of these movies. How do you stand out, do something different? And I actually felt like fit with these characters where they have so much emotions, and there's the fans, their wife, kids, stuff like that. But it's just they don't care. It's like they're focused on just them two. Like it means more than the title. It's just they could be the only two here with this fight. So I liked that. It was very kind of I was missing the crowd, but I liked that the fight finished back in the real world. So now I kind of ended up loving it. Where okay, it's the real world fight, this third realm, and then back to the real world. If it would have just ended in the third world, I would have felt. I don't know how I would have felt on that. I would have needed some time to marinate on it, but the fact that it was kind of like a chapter in the fight, I ended up liking it. Even though I could see someone, if they were to tell me that's not my cup of tea in a boxing Creed movie, I go, okay, fair enough. Because for a moment it wasn't mine, but they sold me on it, so.
Yeah, I agree because I think initially when it just went like to ghost mode, I was kind of like standoffish. It was just like, oh, we're doing like a weird
This is a choice.
trip. Yeah, exactly. Like this is a choice and we're going with it, and I just have to stick on this roller coaster ride as we go along. But like I feel like all the positive reasons that you just laid out was exactly the way that I felt. It's like this is actually like this isn't just a world title fight to see who's the unanimous world champion of the world. Like this is a fight amongst these two former friends who had a falling out, and like it is a very personal journey that Damien was on, because like throughout the movie he was stressing of like when he was in bars, like he saw someone living out his life that he like he thought he deserved, and especially just in his shoes, like that guy that, as we already laid out, like he pulled that gun out to save him because like Creed was getting basically gang beat by these like just vicious adults or whatever, and like just spent that time in prison trying to save your buddy, and that buddy doesn't even come to visit you. Like I would have been pretty fucking pissed about that. And if all you're doing all day is just training for this moment, like this is a very personal thing that he doesn't want the belt. He wants to beat the shit out of Creed here and like prove that he is better than him. So I love that. I really liked the just like the I guess the effects that they had too, minus like maybe the cell bar. I get what they were going for, but it was just I feel like when he like went up to the back of the ball, yeah, it was like the cell bar. It's so hard for me to say.
Cell
Jail
bar,
cell.
cell
Yeah.
bar, cell bar.
There you go. And for some reason, again, I'm just polluted from Malignant. Every time I see like a bar cell like that, I'll just get taken back to that scene from Malignant. Go watch that movie. It's just such a fantastic
Gabriel
moment.
comes out.
Pops out of his
I'm
head.
ready to be world champ. He'd win
Jonathan
too.
Major starts walking all weird.
Yeah. Creed, Damon, no one's beating fucking Gabriel. You saw him take down all those cops last year in Malignant. There's no fucking way. Get a chair in the ring, it's over.
Super strength. So yeah, I think like the bar was reaching that moment of like the breaking point, and I didn't really get there. Like I was really loving it, and then like the bar scene kind of like made me like flicker a little bit on my meter, going a little bit past that point. But overall, I still really like the decision because it separated. Like it wasn't like I was just watching a 12 round or whatever rounds that they went like boxing fight. It made it a spectacle and a movie moment. And yeah, credit to Michael B. Jordan, the director, for making that decision and wanting to do that, because I'm definitely gonna remember that particular moment from this movie.
Now, I feel like somebody must have done this. If not, I was gonna say I shouldn't say it on air, but someone can steal it from me because I don't think I ever plan on making a boxing movie. They should do a movie where the fight starts with round one and you go through all the 12 rounds, but like in between each round is when you get the flashback to the like what the movie and how you got there and everything like that. But the whole fight is like used as like the framing device of the movie. Like the fight, the round happens, and then you have your break where they're sitting there, and then you flash back to character A or character B and stuff like that. I feel like
We should do
someone's-
that.
Yeah,
We'll make a boxing movie.
yeah, we'll get our reason to get all ripped and everything like that.
Yeah, there you go. Put it in the budget.
Yeah,
the fitness budget.
we got to write this off for taxes. The gym, everything, all the
Steroids,
chickens.
all the steroids I buy.
Man, Jesus juice, Jesus juice,
Jesus
what I call it.
juice.
Yeah, but and even then, like that was so funny. Like I'm sure they are because I've seen that before, where they're like people are together in the heavyweight stuff, where it's like they look very similar, or they don't look similar at all, but they're similar in weights. That's how I felt about the Majors fight when he got the championship. I was like, I don't buy this guy as like a heavyweight, and I'm sure he
Felix,
maybe
is that you're talking
yeah
about?
Felix.
Yeah.
I'm sure he probably is because again I've seen it so many times where I go body types, a height that messes with and stuff. But I was like, really, this guy's like it's just next to Majors. It's like I don't know if I can buy this guy, but that's fine. He was the heavyweight guy. But yeah, no. So the third fight I ended up enjoying at least, and then yeah, we talked about that Creed gets the win. I don't know what his future is now because is he back in boxing now and stuff like that because he came out to fight? Does he just relinquish
Tired again.
give it back to Felix? Here, you take this, and Damon beats him again. But no, so yeah, and again, stuff I haven't touched on too much is in the second movie they had their daughter and they had hinted that the daughter was gonna not have her hearing, so obviously they went carry through that with this movie. And I liked all the scenes again with him and Tessa Thompson. I liked all the scenes with the daughter. I liked the daughter having a little spat at the school. I thought that was a fun character moment, and them having just completely different reasons as far as Tessa Thompson wanting to take this like a learning ability or a teaching moment, and my Creed wanting to be like, well, we got to teach her to fight because I didn't think we need to, but we should. So I like that. And I feel like I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. I feel like they're setting up this franchise so in 10, 20 years,
Oh yeah.
they will cast
100%.
a female actress and Michael B. Jordan can play the Sylvester Stallone role. Like that's what I felt like at the end of this movie. Like, oh, you know what, Michael B. Jordan, you're a smart man. You're already setting up this thing. So I liked that. So yeah, all the stuff with the there's one thing in particular that didn't. I'll wait till after. It's not like really big story part, but I liked the child actress. I liked all the scenes that were using the sign language and stuff like that. So I thought that was well done. And like I said in my non-spoilers, I think I could have actually used a bit more of him with the family, because in Creed 2 there's a thing that happens where he's down and out for a little bit and he spends quite a bit of time with Tessa Thompson. So, and even the first movie, I feel like she's in that a lot because that's when they first meet and they're dating. And I guess I didn't mention too, they kill off his mom, which is like, I feel like that kind of works because I feel like there's everything you could do with that character. This was the last thing you could do where there was a kid she was trying to, get him to avoid. That was Damien's stuff. So I liked their scenes as well. And I liked the scene where Creed confronts her and stuff. So all the family stuff worked for me. And that's what I said. I could have probably maybe used a little bit more of it.
Yeah, this is where I kind of differ from you because personally for me, I found this stuff to just drag personally. Like I don't know, like the family stuff in the beginning, it was slow of him just like in his family life. I agree. Like I thought the child actress, she was fantastic. Like I love, and this is like why I'm so torn because I really liked those scenes, but just in the moment I was like, I just want to get through this and like carry on with the boxing stuff because. Like I like I hadn't seen Creed 2, so like while I'm watching these scenes, I'm like, oh, this is probably like a big like, especially like Tessa Thompson losing her hearing, like their child is deaf, and like all of these like character moments I thought were really well done, but I just didn't care for like the connection of it to the story personally, because I was here for the Damien Diamond story and like the Creed like interaction, but I really liked how those scenes were done. Like I really liked the chemistry between Michael B. Jordan, Tessa Thompson, the child actress, Mila, I think was her name. Just checked on IMDb. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Mila or Mila, something like that. Like I really liked all like the sign stuff too, and I feel like the representation of like sign language is so good because I feel like I'm like picking up on like certain phrases or something. I was at work the other day, I was like dropping some I love yous, and I'm like, I picked that up from Creed 3. There you go.
Well,
Just
there you
more
go.
and more of it. You know, it just comes.
So your new employees are dropping that too?
Yeah, they don't know what it means.
Fucking
They
don't
gotta
like
go
this
see
new
Creed.
guy.
Yeah, this guy keeps saying he loves me, but
Yeah.
so yeah, and like at the end too, like when they have their little like epilogue of the story, like he has that really nice moment with Jonathan Majors, and then he goes to his family, and they're doing like this whole boxing thing, and like it was a really cute scene, and I liked it, but it just for me personally, that's where it kind of dragged on a little bit because although I was enjoying it, I just I didn't really understand. Maybe that's not even the right way to phrase it. Like I did understand the relevance of it because it's showing like the family that he has and that he fought for to get there, and like all the importance of why he does the things that he does. But that's just not the story I was really buying my ticket to come and see. I was really just hoping the movie would start with, I don't know, like a Jonathan Major. Well, I guess it was kind of the Flash. Or no, what was the first scene? Was it just
It
the
was
boxing?
them as the kids.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's little Creed like punching, and then they use that transition for him to be punching in the boxing match,
Right.
Which I'm assuming is like is the last match because he wins those titles. That's when they say he's the unified undisputed, and then they cut to him at the gym and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that was his last fight, and then he just retired on top, I guess. So
I would
and now
imagine.
he's back. So
So
and
yeah,
now,
oh sorry.
good. No,
I was gonna say the flashback between like the younger versions of Damien and Adonis. Like I thought all like that chemistry there, it was so believable that like they've both had their struggles, but like they are really close and like really ride or die. And I just thought all those scenes were really well done. Like the flashbacks, and we already stated it, but I liked how we had flashbacks, but they filled in a little bit more of the flashbacks as the story went on. There was one scene where like Michael B. Jordan like drove to like the liquor store where it happened, and the entire scene was just him like looking at it, and then it like took us to the flashback. I'm like, this was kind of unnecessary. Like we could have just had a flashback pop in randomly.
Bumps into the guy again.
Yeah. Just beats
Remember
the
me?
shit out of him.
Yeah.
Leon.
No, Leon beats him. He's like, "You champ, huh? You champ?"
It's the security guard. That's the
yeah.
twist the whole time.
Yeah, I was more making a joke about him knocking out Creed, not child abuse, just so you know. Even though I did think it would have been funny where in the finale when he gets in the ring with his daughter, because she's like squaring up and she points at him, and Creed gets in the ring. In my mind, I just imagine Creed like, just like, yeah, you got a long way to go, kid. Like, all guys,
He's like bobbing and weaving.
Yeah, like he's like taking it real, like I can't lose. I just got this back. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a bit much and stuff. And even then too, it was strange where we got the full flashback scene. And I like Jordan and Tess Thompson together, but then we get a scene of him telling the exact scene through dialogue. It's almost like they should just splice the two together. Like while he cut him out, go in the gas station, have him talk to Tessa, and then while that's happening, show those scenes at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was a little redundant to be like, hey, this shit went down and it was his fault a little bit and stuff like that. So
No, for sure.
my only issue with the kid is they bring her twice to the boxing fights, and they bring her once to Damon's fight, and like
Don't bring kids to Damon's fight. Come on.
well, like I have two issues with this. Now, like I get what they're trying to go in for, like Damon's a fucking animal in the ring and stuff like that, but like there are hundreds of boxing matches where guys are just dripping in blood, that broken noses, cauliflower ears, all that stuff, right? Eye sockets that are just like swollen over. And this is not just like two fucking rich parents taking their kid to boxing. This guy made a career, and he is a he's a rich person because he was the boxing champ, and he knows what can happen in this. So when they see like they're just shocked that Felix is getting beat up and he's looking all bloody, and they're like, "Oh my god, like we gotta get her out of here." It's like, what the fuck? Like, how much have you been around boxing to know like this could happen? Like, they act like they act like they have never seen boxing. Like, man, it's getting very violent. So what they're trying to show in the story is like Damon fights so violent that this kid can't watch. Okay, so what do we do for when that guy who's the animal, the savage, the guy who's just brutally beating people? What do we do when he's gonna fight Creed, the kid's father? We're gonna bring this kid again. Like, how worse could it have been for this kid if if Damon did the same thing to Felix, to Creed, but they brought the kid along. I hated, like, I was fine with the kid being there. I just didn't like how kind of they, to me, overplayed that scene. Is either overridden or overplayed. The fact of they're so shocked what she was seeing, we had to get her out of the arena. It's like, you should fucking know better what this kid could see in the ring. And two, okay, just don't do that. Just make it that they're shocked that it happened, but don't make this thing like, oh my god, she's seeing this violence and stuff like that. Just have her there for the two fights. So it was weird that they made this big moment of this girl seeing this man just destroy this person, and when he might destroy her father, yeah, let's bring her again. It's like, what? Why? Like, what if, like, and this is not even Creed, who's like, because I think I was still like getting this fed to me. It's like, this isn't Creed who's full-time boxer. This is Creed coming back from retirement boxer who has like a less chance of beating Damon, and now he's gonna get in the ring with his animal, and you're like, yeah, let's bring the daughter along this time. It's like, it was a very weird note for me to have on. So, and like I said, it wasn't a major thing, but I was like, this doesn't make much sense to me at all. So
it stood out for sure.
I had.
It stood out for sure, because I feel like the decision to show the initial savagery of Damien and like the child's reaction, and Tessa Thompson's character being like, "Hey, we gotta get him out. Like, we gotta get her out of here. This is getting too bloody," and then like to just have it back, it's like they didn't even go through that moment. Like it was,
yes, they learned
kind of
nothing.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of like my overall like negative of the movie, is just some things just really don't sync together well, and it just seems like they could have tackled it a lot smoother, whether it's Damon getting the shot of a lifetime to be the unanimous world champion, triple belt, whatever, and just going from rags to riches overnight, to like, I don't know, just the believability of the story, and like how like Michael B. Jordan was like a little bit resistant to like even just incorporate him into the gym or anything like this, and then just instantly it's like, no man, like especially when he goes into the dressing room before the Felix fight, like it seems like he's so on his team and like super pumped up for it. He's like, Diamond Damian Anderson, and like he's trying to get him all jazzed. And then it's just like during
it's like
the
he's
fight,
his mistress, like, because then it's like, it'd be like you have your side chick and you're like, oh, I love you, like, you're the fucking best, but then if you like happen to bump into them with your wife, like Creed's pretending he's never met Damon at all. Like, he's pretending like, who's this guy? Does this guy even go here? Like, he just turns on him so quickly in the middle of that match. Where I'm like, fuck you, Creed. Like, why? And I wish they didn't do that. I wish he just like watch the match. Don't cheer for anybody. Show that he's conflicted. There's this guy from his gym that he's been training boxing, saying he's the next Creed. He could be the next guy to lead this generation of boxers. But then you got your friend on the other side. What do? You sit down and don't say shit. But this whole fight, come on, let's talk, cover up. It's just like, and then it's weird because like Damon keeps looking at him, and then when he wins it though, he's like, yeah, look what I did. Like, I thought he was gonna right after the fight be like, what the fuck, dude? Like, why were you cheering against me? But he wasn't. He was like, I did it. And Creed's like, yeah, like he gives him like a little head nod. So it's like
he didn't do anything of that. He was like extremely disgusted at Damien.
He gave him one little like, he gave like a little like you did it, but it was, he had a face of disgust. But Damon was jazzed, so Damon didn't pick up on any of this, I guess.
Yeah, it was weird. One of the last things I forgot to bring up was what you brought up, the mother sequence. I thought it was good, but still, it was one of those things that was kind of strange to me. I understand like the inclusion of her, because especially the dynamic of Damien and Creed, and especially, I don't know, the perspective of a mother there. Like, you can understand why Damien would probably be a bad influence if he's carrying a gun and like they're sneaking out late at night to go to these like just really sketchy boxing matches somewhere in town. I understand that motivation from her, but I don't know. It just seemed to me like her whole inclusion of this movie was to have like that. Like, she was kind of the one person that has interacted with Damien already and Adonis, and then the reason why Creed didn't get the heads up about this assassination was because she held on to these letters and just was protecting him. And personally, to me, I thought this lady looked really good. I thought she looked really healthy throughout the entire movie. And then, like, during this whole time, though, apparently she's like having strokes every once in a while. She should be living basically with them, but she's like, no, I'm fine. I can live on my own. It's all good. And then she dies in this movie, and like, I actually was like tearing up in like their little one-on-one dialogue with. I think it was really like Michael B. Jordan selling it as an actor. Like he really was bringing on the waterworks and was really just making me believe that he's losing his mother in the scene. But like she didn't look like she was dying in that scene to me personally. Like she looked pretty fine. They probably maked up or put some makeup on her to make her look a little bit grayer
Yeah.
or whatnot. But I don't
Just
know.
waiting for how'd she die? Oh, that sass and Damien Hire got her too.
Came in.
Because like
Goes
I,
after her hand.
maybe I missed it in the commentators, but I didn't pick up the mentioning at all Creed's mother passing away, and I really thought Damien was gonna say at least something like his condolences, but it just feel like she died and we moved on. It didn't feel like a big plot point really at all. So
Yeah. So in
yeah.
hindsight, it's like that was really weak to me. I think just the whole mother inclusion. I really didn't need her, even though like in the particular scene, I was liking it, and like I feel like I'm kind of a broken record here because that's kind of how I felt about the family scenes. It's like I
Mm.
don't understand why we're doing this right now. That's kind of my own fault because I haven't seen the other, or at least Creed 2. Majority of Creed 1 I've seen, but still I gotta do some catch up. And then yeah, like the mother thing, like I didn't love it in hindsight, but in the moment I was just enjoying the performances of the characters and the actors and whatnot. So I don't know, just kind of conflicted I think overall with this movie. But luckily, like for the vast majority, and it's one of those things where if you have lesser actors in here, I'm gonna like this movie so much less than what it is,
Yeah.
and this is gonna be one that I'm gonna enjoy throwing it on and just again seeing those montages, or even just the swagger that Damien carried himself with in this movie. It was very entertaining and fun to watch, and yeah, and like that one block he did, he like put up
Oh, I
both of
know.
his arms, and he would just like keep going to that one move. I'm like, I've never seen like very limited boxing knowledge, but I feel like that's not really a boxing move. Maybe it is, but it just seemed again like one of
I
those.
think there's a reason because either you're just using your hands to cover your face or your stomach. So like clearly, like you cover both your hands or your face. Yeah, you're facing it all, but your gut is just completely exposed.
That's
Like
fair.
I guess
Yeah.
if you unless you have cement block abs that you can just like and like do that, but I think that's why you don't see that move. Because and then if you put it over your belly, then your face is exposed. So
It just seemed like it covered his entire body every time he
yeah,
did it. So in the moment, I'm like, this
his
seems like
arms are
such an
that big.
effective move. Yeah,
Covers
Major's
his
just
stomach and
monstrous.
face. Just yeah, uses his pecs, his biceps. Just yeah, come on, get through.
No, absolutely. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's all my notes. That's all I have on this one. Yeah, I'm definitely lower because I came in here thinking I was like an 8 out of 10, but I think I'm a 7.5 out of 10. I think that's where I am. I definitely probably will watch this again. I gotta watch the other ones right now. I think my ranking, funny enough, would probably be 1, 2, 3. At one point, this movie was definitely over 2, but now near the end of it, I really like like when you eventually get to it. I loved the angle of hey, you're fighting the son of the guy who killed your dad, and there was a lot of emotion in that movie and a lot of just like stuff taken for, and you don't even have to watch the other ones, but just lots of okay, how can I do this? And I liked in that movie the whole fight that Stallone or Rocky was pretty much just like, yeah, you can't take this guy and stuff. So yeah, I think I prefer that one a little bit better because it's a bit more simpler. I think again I like the story overall better. The idea of this, it's tough because that fight's good too. Like that idea, like I said, of like the father's, son versus the other son, that stuff. But I liked this. I was really digging this very personal, emotional childhood bond that's turned into we got to fight. But like I said, I think they went too far over the handle to make it like this big epic fight where I think they could have done that just through just differences and stuff like that, more of the attitude stuff instead of
hmm
assassin and guns at a bar and stuff like that. I think they went too hard on it. So yeah, I'm a 7.5 out of 10 for this one.
All right, yeah. I think I'm kind of similar with you. Like as we talked on it, I kind of got brought down a
Mm.
few scenes here and there. Really just stand out to me in hindsight. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go. I'll match you. I'll go 7.5 cheese grater abs out of
Oh
10
yeah.
on this one. Yeah, because like I do have issues with it, but it's still just a very entertaining watch. I think it helps too that it had like basically 3 full fights in the movie. I obviously would have taken a lot more, especially to just make
Hmm.
the whole Damien becoming the world champion a lot more palatable to me. But still, I liked all the action in there, and yeah, really liked the soundtrack, and overall, I just thought it was an entertaining movie. So yeah, 7.5,
Yeah.
same here.
There you go. Well, we've done it. I hope you all enjoy the view, or the review. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you have any counters to maybe you did like the assassin, you did like the gun thing. I don't know, stuff like that. If you did like certain things, but yeah, let us know wherever you listen to this what you thought. And yeah, we'll be back with Last of Us tomorrow. We promise you that'll not be boring.
Peace.